What were you walking into in terms of the players, John? What was the challenge of that culture shift?
That first camp, there was a couple of fights in the training. I'd never seen that before. And I said, this is all the reasons why this team have never qualified for a World Cup. A talented effing team have never qualified for a World Cup since 1986. Do you understand that? If you don't understand that, you will miss one of the biggest opportunities this country's ever had.
If the opportunity to men hadn't presented itself when it did, would you have stuck with the women through, Tokyo?
No, I was in England. I was gone.
You were gone, right?
Yeah, I was gone. That was me done. In my mind, I was on the aeroplane. And it was Peter Montopoli who had a great conversation with us and said, you're not finished here.
There is John Herdman, the Canadian national men's team coach, was the coach of the women's side.
People were saying, he strong-armed himself into the role. And strong-armed myself into anything. It was a clear opportunity to go and sing my own national anthem at World Cups, take my family back to live with my family, but I chose not to. It was actually more money to go and work as a women's head coach than it was to work as a Canadian men's coach. But we stayed because the people that we've been building this with, we knew we had an opportunity to transfer what we'd done on the women's side, the high-performance systems and processes, to the men's. I told everyone from the first day we took over, the players, the staff, the media, the people at Canada Soccer, we're qualifying. It's going to happen.
What were you walking into in terms of the players, John? These guys are coming from club teams all over the place, some of them in North America, a lot of them in Europe, big money environments. What was the challenge of that culture shift?
A coach coming in that, in their minds, didn't have a pedigree for working in the men's game. I think that was a challenge. But what I learned, particularly in the men's game, is when there was adversity, the team cracked a bit. That first camp, there was a couple of fights in the training. I'd never seen that before. Guys were literally getting by the throat and everyone was getting in. It was a defining moment because I pulled the leaders together after the sesh and I said, this is all the reasons why this team have never qualified for a World Cup. A talented effing team have never qualified for a World Cup since 1986. Do you understand that? If you don't understand that, you will miss one of the biggest opportunities this country's ever had. This is in your hands. You're the leaders. It's in your hands. And I could sense this was a big moment for them.
I think for a lot of people, John, the moment, the kind of eureka moment, was the match against the States in Toronto before the world shut down.
Are you ready for it, Canada? It is the Stars and Stripes and the True North Strong and Free on our grandest stage under the bright lights of BMO Field.
We knew the US moment was going to be a seminal moment because I'd never beaten them on the women's side. I wanted this one bad more than anything, and I know the players did as well. They had a team worth $250 million. At that time, we were a team worth $91 million, and one of the players was worth 70 in our team. So we knew there was a Herculean task that we could only win if we pushed the limits physically, and tactically, it was our best ever performance. I had to convince the guys that we were going after the US in a way we'd never gone after them before. You could feel everyone was in.
Scott Arfield across, Davies is there, it's in, it's over the line, Alphonso Davies! 1-0 Canada! Missouri over top, Cavallini's onside, Lucas Cavallini! Can you believe it? This Canadian team are gonna win this!
We win that game, and I just remember the feeling. I felt, oh my God, it feels like a real football crowd here. It's starting to feel like a football country, making people fall in love with football and getting people excited. I felt it there. It was special, Stephen. That was a special night.
John Herdman, what a job he continues to do with the Canadian men's national team.
The Canadian men definitely have a different aura about them.
Canada is the most improved team in world football and continue to garner, and rightfully so, global headlines.
The Jamaica match in Toronto, qualification at that point is a fait accompli, or pretty close to it as it
It was
could
close.
be. It was an amazing day, John, for a lot of people, and an emotional day. What was it like for you?
I was nervous. I was certainly nervous going into the game, but I always say little prayers to me nana, right? Me nana is the one person who always looked after us as a kid. And I remember in the Costa Rica game, we were about 85 minutes in, and I remember just zoning out, looking at the sky and going, "You're not going to give us this, are you?" Sometimes I'll say, "Come on, nana, make sure." But this one I went, "You're not going to give us it." And I just sensed it wasn't going to happen.
Canadian pride, the snow, the conditions, and a chance to clinch and punch a ticket for Qatar 2022. This is it!
I remember when the snow started to fall, honestly, I could cry because I felt like, she was there.
Is that the goal that sends Canada to Qatar?
When the first goal went in, I was never in doubt. It was like, holy shit. She's give us it today.
You can! Book your flights, book your hotels. Canada is going to the World Cup.
All them became about just making sure we enjoyed the moment with the fans.
From obscurity to unforgettable, this is the moment the country has waited for. Canada is going to the World Cup.
It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
You allowed yourself to think about what's going to be like to walk out in the biggest sporting event on the planet?
You picture yourself, standing there and you're thinking, this is on, we're in the fight now. You're in a fight, fella. Because I think for the first time in a long time, I've come to the place where I really want to be as a coach, which is the underdog. I'm a small man. I've had small man syndrome all my life, So I love this. This is me, wanting to punch against the big guys. It's that there's an element of, I know my players, this is the moment they want to be in as well. They feel we can genuinely get in and have a right fight with these teams. But we're going to become, or have to become, greater than the sun. And be that team that overachieved and find our X factor to upset some teams. And that's where I get out of bed for that. I'm going back to my New Zealand days. No better than that.
Well, look, I speak for about 40 million people saying I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. And congratulations again on behalf of everybody, and especially the people who followed this sport in the country for a lot of years, and it has been a thrilling, thrilling ride.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.